Top of the morning to you. Welcome to yet another episode of the Teacup for One Oscar Movie Marathon. My name is Matt and I have 2 degrees. And today we are talking about a delightful Irish movie. What do we have here? Oh, people are messaging me. Hold on, I'm getting distracted. There we go. So today we are talking about a delightful Irish movie. At least it takes place in Ireland. I didn't do the research to find out if that's where it was funded, but maybe it was. Who knows? We're talking about the Banshees of Inisherin, which is the latest filmic endeavor of playwright slash writer slash director Martin McDonagh, known for doing In Bruges, as well as I think he did 6 Psychopaths. That was a movie. And he's also written a bunch of plays. So yeah, there we go. Let's take a look here. Let's see who we have in the chat. We have my cat Sabrina, always a pleasure. My other cat Eliza. Hello humans, I will not be watching a movie about Banshees. I have no interest in Banshees. Eliza, there are no actual Banshees. We also have A.G. Kemper. Good evening. Savon is a vibe, and Jenny did deserve better. I am prepared to talk all night about Jenny the donkey. Like justice for Jenny, 100%. And who else do we have? And Martha's here. Wonderful. All right, well, let's bring in our first guest for this evening. Look, everyone, it's Alex T-Tie.
Hello.
You didn't think you'd be first, did you?
No, I never do.
No. Your audio's all weird, though.
All right, well, I can change that. Do you want me to change that now or after my introduction? Or?
No, change it after your introduction.
Okay.
Okay, good. So, yeah, Alex, favorite thing, not about Ireland, favorite Lucky Charms marshmallow. That's our intro question for today.
Am I supposed to have memorized the marshmallows that exist in the Lucky Charms cereal brand?
I assume everyone has that knowledge.
All right. Yeah. Isn't there like a rainbow marshmallow?
Yeah.
Like blue and like pink or something? That one.
Sure. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good answer. Well done. So yeah, Alex. Actually, no, we'll talk about the movie later. I was going to ask you favorite thing about Jenny the donkey, but we'll come to that. What do we have here? Okay, it was called 7 Psychopaths. 7 Psychopaths was good, apparently. So there we go. All right, let's bring in our next guest for this evening. Who's it going to be? I see you shaking your head, Lisa. You're the only option I have. Okay, everybody, here we go. Next up, we have Lisa Alves, everybody. Woo!
Hi, everyone. I was shaking my head because I was eating my dinner, and it's fine. I've put it away. I'm ready.
Oh, I thought you needed the extra time to think about what your favorite Lucky Charms marshmallow is.
No, so my favorite Lucky Charms marshmallow is definitely the rainbow because part of the queer club.
Good answer.
Yes.
And I just feel like more colors equals more flavor, even though I'm positive they all taste the same.
Yeah. It's the same with Fruit Loops, right? Like as a kid, I was like more colors, more flavors, but really it's just all sugar. So
yeah. Well said. All right, now let's bring in our final guest for this evening. It's Jeanette, everybody.
Hi.
You have cat ears on today.
I have cat ears. This is my daughter's headphones. This is how I'll be presenting tonight.
Amazing. You should have worn those for the Avatar night.
Oh my God, you're right. I got to take one of these off. It's kind of weird. Now I see why people wear them sideways.
There we go. So same question, favorite Lucky Charms marshmallow?
Not a big fan of the Lucky Charms, but I would say is it purple moons? No, they're blue moons. What's purple? Purple horseshoes?
I know there's
like
cauldron. Oh yeah, I think hold on. Lucky.
It's blue moons.
Charms
Maybe it's purple horseshoes, I think.
Okay.
That would be my favorite.
Look this up. Yeah, so it looks like
a moon-shaped thing, and I like a purple thing.
Yeah, so there's a heart, a star, a rainbow, a purple horseshoe. There's a balloon, a clover, a moon, a diamond, a pot of gold, apparently a unicorn, which must be new.
That is new.
A shooting star, which might also be new. And the one that I remembered is my favorite, the leprechaun hat with the clover inside.
Ah, yes.
Yes. Yes, that's a solid one.
You know, I have a bag of like knockoff Lucky Charms marshmallows, just a whole bag of marshmallows that Nola got for Christmas, I think, upstairs.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Like, do you add them to things or just eat them?
Yeah,
Straight?
like she added them to Fruit Loops maybe the other morning. Yeah.
Good. I would just eat the bowl. I would just eat a whole bowl of marshmallows. It'd be so great.
There you go.
I really like the crunchiness of it's the cereal, but maybe that's just me.
Well, yeah, I would always eat I'd eat the cereal parts first. I would dig around the marshmallow so that I would have this wonderful reward at the end of just marshmallow. And that's how it went. So
I feel like that's how I approach dinosaur egg oatmeal too.
Yes, exactly. You have to save all the deliciousness for the end as your reward for getting there.
Yeah.
Through all the healthy stuff. Anyway, now that we've sufficiently paid tribute to Ireland, let's talk about Banshees of Inisherin. That name, it shouldn't be so hard to pronounce, but it is.
And how do you say it? One more
I think
time.
it's Inisherin.
Inisherin.
I didn't know if it was Inisherin or Inisherin or.
No.
I feel like I tried to clock it the last time I was watching the movie, and I think it was Inisherin.
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 Yeah, if we're speaking like them, it's Inisherin.
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 Okay.
Lucky Charms.
Can we get the phonetics on
They're
this?
magically delicious.
Can you guys hear me or right now?
Yeah, I can hear. It sounds like you're far away, but it doesn't sound distorted.
What about now?
That's
That
even
now
better.
you sound
That's
wonderful.
great.
All right, so I'm just going to do this every time I speak. All right, cool.
Good. That's all we need. So let's just get opening thoughts about this movie. Hold on. Let's jump into the comments here first. Vince says Lucky Charms doesn't have balloon marshmallows anymore. It turns
Very topical joke, Vince.
That's
Wacka.
hilarious.
Nice.
Bring on the aliens. That's what
There
I
were
have
only
to say.
99 of them in the box anyway. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry.
99. Did you have to drive to Toronto to see the? No, I didn't. No, this is one that's on Disney Plus. It's a classic. I hope it
Everything's
stays
on
there
Disney
forever.
Plus there.
I know.
It's so nice.
Yeah, is it on Disney Plus for you, Jeanette?
No, it was either through my cable company, just like on demand, or it was like an HBO Max or Showtime. Something I had
wow.
a subscription to that my cable box directed me to. That was definitely not Disney Plus.
Wow. Like, was it Hulu?
Maybe. Maybe.
Hmm.
But I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
thank
just
you,
funny.
Disney Plus.
Everything, even movies with guys chopping their fingers off.
Exactly.
That's on Disney Plus too.
Ugh, it was
Everything.
so uncomfortable. I didn't care for that. But you know, I did care for the whole movie. I adored this movie. And I had no expectations going into it. And it exceeded all of them. And yes, I think I suspected I would like it because I don't know much of Martin McDonagh's work, but I know that he is a playwright. And typically I like things that are written for the screen that are by playwrights. So this did not disappoint. I thought the dialogue was thoroughly engaging. The characters were great. The performances were top tier. And Jenny the Donkey, absolutely adorable. Justice for Jenny. That's my opening statement. Alex, what were your first impressions of this film?
My first impressions were, well, so I heard about the movie initially from a Reddit like post that was, I forget the like title subject, but basically people were discussing in the comments movies that were like one of my favorite films, if not my favorite film, In Bruges, which is another Martin McDonagh directed film and written film. And so yeah, they were talking about Banshees of Inisherin, and I was like, well, hey, I really enjoy this movie, so I should check out Banshees. And I did not realize, like I did not at the time realize that Banshees was like a new movie, that it was an Oscar nominee or anything like that. All I knew was what I had read, that it was like similar to In Bruges. So yeah, when I watched it the first time, it was pretty much what I expected. The humor, the writing, the quality of the film, the performances, everything was in line with what I had come to expect from In Bruges. I didn't enjoy it as much as In Bruges. I didn't think it was like a better film or even as good of a film personally, or rather as enjoyable of a film for me. But yeah, I thoroughly still enjoyed Banshees. I also didn't. I enjoyed the movie, but I didn't. Banshees, the like underlying meaning or some of the sort of I don't know if the right term is analogy, but like some of the themes of the film weren't immediately apparent to me upon first viewing, and I think partly that might have to do with some of those themes being so overt that they kind of flew over my head by virtue of how not subtle they were. If
That
that
was how I
makes
felt about Siobhan being his sister.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, it was
Anyway.
just so obvious that I didn't get it.
Anyway.
Yeah.
But no, specifically with reference to like the like civil war in Ireland, sort of the relationship between that going on and the main like plot of the movie, the struggle between these two best friends. Yeah, that and on first viewing, like I did not clock that at all. And I want to say it's because it's so because once you alerted me to that sort of phenomenon, Matt, on the second viewing it was so painfully obvious that but like yeah, I don't know. I want to say to give myself credit that I missed that because it was just so obvious that my deciphering mind just couldn't fathom that was something to be kind of figured out. But either way, so the point there is that as opposed to a movie like In Bruges, where on the very first viewing, I found myself kind of unpacking various themes and elements of the movie and making various connections to uncover like depth and layers. This movie, I primarily enjoyed it for the humor, the dialogue, the characters, and I didn't really find myself digging deep into the undoubtedly like many layers that the movie possesses. So, yeah.
That's fascinating because you just described my feelings towards In Bruges and my first viewing of that movie, where I enjoyed it for the humor and couldn't tell you what layers existed beyond that. But that's for a later date. So there it is. Lisa, first impression of the Banshees.
I liked it a lot. I had no idea what it was about going into it. Just like the title and like who was in it, I was like, oh, it's gonna be boring. It's not gonna be my kind of movie. I'm not going to be interested. It's not going to leave me like thinking a lot about it afterwards, and like completely was the opposite experience that I had. I was so interested the entire time. I thought the performances were amazing. My only thing, and like still to this day, like thinking about it after like a week since seeing it for the first time, is like, I don't know how I feel about the end. Like, I don't know if I like the ending. I don't know if it was the right choice to end it that way. But aside from that, I think the overall it was such a beautiful movie, and I took away so much of it, maybe because of like where I'm at in my life, and the relationships that I have. But I thought it was a beautiful story, and I just love the cinematography of it. So yeah,
and yet it's not a best cinematography nominee,
which is wild to me. Like it, like the beautiful landscapes, the lighting.
I know they love landscapes.
Can I make one observation about the cinematography? And I was going to bring this up later, but since we're touching on it, a lot of shots, if not all of the landscape shots, felt like they were shot much like early Star Wars was, or like recreation of early Star Wars.
Yeah.
The way that like when they shot the cows were like real close in the frame, and then like there's a big sprawling landscape and the sunsets and everything. It was very Star Wars, which is great when you have those types of landscapes.
I feel like I made a comment about it looking like Tatooine at one point.
Yeah, and some of it looks like Octo, because that's kind of what Octo looks like, and like everything reminded. And then there was another scene when Siobhan's walking back into the cottage. He's sitting in the doorway, and it looks a heck of a lot like his aunt and uncle when they're like coming and going out of the hut on Tatooine. I doubt that was intentional, because why would you need that connection in this movie? But
I have no idea.
Reminiscent of it.
No, but like maybe the director was giving like a nod to Star Wars. I don't know. But like I was just thinking the entire time of like how boring the landscape could seem to like a regular person who doesn't know Ireland that much.
Mm-hmm.
But from the way that they captured it, especially where like Jenny is standing and sees the old lady, and then the young guy, I forgot his name, not Jenny, sorry, Siobhan. Not the donkey. Not the donkey. Siobhan, the sister, is standing and sees the old lady across the water, and the young guy comes. And just that shot of her in the middle with the cliffs, she's like looking out towards. It's like that was the most beautiful thing I've seen on my TV screen in a while. And I want to rewatch it for those images alone. And I don't even, like, we'll talk about the story, but those images were just so invigorating. It was like walking through a museum.
Well said. Vince is weighing in. It got screwed for best cinematography. The whole film looked gorgeous. Like how do I pronounce that painter's name?
A Vermeer.
Vermeer, like a Vermeer painting. Well said. Yeah. Jeanette, opening thoughts on the Banshees?
It was a roller coaster. I was sure from the get-go that it was going to be a lighthearted jaunt about two buddies, and it was a lot of fun. And then by the end, I was crying. So, I mean, it took me all over the place, and that's good. I was genuinely interested where it was going. From listening to you and Alex talk, I do not think that I have yet peeled away all of the layers of this movie. I think there's some culturally contextual things that I don't understand or even know about. So I think maybe if I do a little bit of research, I can watch it with a different set of eyes. But I'd like to watch it and not be so shocked about where it went, because for a moment I was in a lot of shock because the story just very abruptly, where I felt that it was abrupt. I'm sure there was a lot of, I don't know. I just felt like the mood just abruptly shifted. So I was like,
when he started cutting his fingers off.
Even the first one was like fine, and then it was just all downhill after that. But it took me all over, and I liked the story. Like Lisa said, I think that everybody has maybe a relationship in their lives that they could fit into this. Some of us have gone through long-term friends telling them that they don't want to be friends anymore. Some of us have had a brother-sister relationship or a sibling relationship where you're dependent on the other. There's a lot of things going on, abusive parents, things like that. So
yeah, actually, AG made this comment towards the beginning. I was waiting for the right moment, and now's the right moment. The relationship between Patrick, is it Patrick? How do we say his name again? Pádraig? That was Pádraig. Okay, so it's not like Patrick. Okay, Pádraig. And Siobhan is so real. I was constantly defending my baby brother from bullies. Now he's 24 and in the army. I still yell at him for being a gun. See, there it is. There's something for everybody. Something for everybody. So yeah, I feel like this is a movie that's so simplistic in some ways, but it has so much depth, which is the type of movie that personally appeals to me. Especially comparing it to Power of the Dog from last year. Like I've said multiple times, I think there are a lot of similarities, and I'm still figuring out for myself why I hate Power of the Dog and why I love this movie.
Right?
Because on the surface they're so similar. But
I love Power of the Dog.
I feel like there's more lovable characters in this one.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that could be it. That's probably it. I found the characters a lot more engaging as well as the dialogue. And then there were even just some laugh out loud moments I didn't expect, like with the bread van. The bread van scene might be like one of my favorite parts of this whole movie.
Yeah. I also did not know that he was saying bread van. That was one of the only words that I got really caught up. I had to rewind it. I was like, what? It's a van. Is it all one word? Or is there two words? Is it a red van? Is it when is it took me a minute, but yeah, that was and well, I'm sure we'll talk about the story more, but that part, whenever they tell him like now he's kind of being the mean one.
Oh yeah, when
That was
Dominic
like
says like I thought you were the nicest one.
yeah, and
Yeah.
like that part, I think that was one of those mood shifts for me, and it happened like pretty soon after everything. So
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't think of it. I guess I thought of it a little bit as a shift, but also I don't know. I emphasized that word so much with with his character that even though he was doing sketchy things, I was just on board for it and thought it was also just hilarious. And then it was so sad kind of when he said, "Oh, now that we're friends again, we can like he can be our friend too. Let's go get him back."
Yeah.
Yeah. I just I love this movie so much. So before we kind of dig into the story, I want to dig into the title. Why do we feel this movie is called what it's called? Why is it called The Banshees of Inisherin? Like, what's the relevance? I know that on one level, of course, it's the name of the song that Colm composes, so there is that. But there's a severe Colm Fior. That's how I like to think of him. Thank you, Alex. So yeah, there's the song, but there's a severe lack of actual banshees, which I found kind of troubling. Minus the older woman, which I guess she could kind of be considered the banshee. But why do we think it's called the Banshees of Inisherin? Where are the banshees?
I mean, I don't know this for sure, but I felt that he didn't outwardly mourn a lot. Like he cried on his own, but then like after that, it was just vengeful. I don't know I don't know the core meaning of that, but I always figure banshees are for mourning or for grieving and things like that. So I figured it had a tie-in somewhere there. Again, this feels like one of those culturally contextual things that I maybe don't fully grasp.
Yeah, I was very confused. I was waiting for a banshee to appear the entire time, and it was a little bit disappointed when once what's his name? What's the
Colin Farrell?
No, Colin Farrell. No,
the simple-minded boy.
Who's the musician that cuts off?
Oh,
Colm.
Colm.
Yeah, Colm. When Colm said the name of his song, I was like, okay, that's it. We're not actually getting banshees. I then started interpreting like literally just their like demons, their mental health throughout the storyline, and like every one of the characters had some type of anxiety or depression or even just like listlessness, and I like summed it up to that. But I want there to be more than just the imagery of their mental health. So maybe I'm missing something, but that's what I walked away from it thinking.
I mean my familiarity with the term banshee comes from literature and video games. And typically in those mediums, banshees are they're spirits. Sometimes I want to say that sometimes these spirits are not just like purely like sometimes these spirits are the spirits of dead people. I want to say like dead women, but my more recent understanding is that more traditionally banshees are not necessarily people who have died, but they're just simply spirits that portend incoming death, upcoming deaths. So these female identifying spirits that scream, and when you experience a banshee screaming, that means that somebody nearby or something is going to die at some point soon. And so in the context of this film, the closest that we get to that, I think, is the old woman, as I think, Matt, you've already referenced during this the stream. But yeah, like the old lady, she was Mrs. Flannery, Mrs.
It was like McCormick.
Yeah, Mrs. McCormick, maybe. So anyway, yeah, so like she directly, predicts there will be 2 deaths on the island.
That's not very nice.
Yeah. Yeah. I wasn't raised to be nice. Yeah.
It's not the quote.
No, it isn't. Yeah. But yeah. So aside from that, is there? I mean, I think that the title probably just like in Bruges, where in the movie In Bruges, the film takes place in Bruges,
Mhm.
but the title is, I think, deeper than that. And similarly, I would imagine that in Banshees of Inisherin is also not simply a reference to the old lady or to the idea of death being like the portending of death or whatever, the foretelling of death. But I'd imagine there's some other layer as well that maybe includes, columns selection. Like, why did the character column choose that as the title? Right? What was he trying to convey as a character with by naming his song that? Right? Like, I think there are layers to this onion that I haven't like you, Jeanette. I haven't peeled these layers, but
Yeah.
but I'm looking forward to.
Mhm. Yeah, like all I can think of really is that it just boils down to the idea of death, kind of like at the very end when Park says some things you can't come back from, and I think that's a good thing to sort of paraphrase it. Yeah, like death of their friendship, death of the donkey, death of Dominic. Just a movie where death is very much looming over everybody in one form or another.
Yeah. There's the
So
background of the Civil War, which undoubtedly
yeah,
includes lots of death.
yeah, and I guess let's discuss that. Did anyone go into this movie with any knowledge of that historical context? Like when they started to talk about how the war was happening, did any like dots start to connect for you that kind of put the movie into a certain context? Because I know basically nothing about the Irish Civil War aside from the fact that it happened, and I sort of pieced together that it was happening during this movie. And as it went on, I thought, I guess this is a metaphor because it's two people that loved each other that are fighting to literal death. But yeah, that's the extent of what I got out of it as a first time viewer with pretty well no historical context. But yeah, how did everyone else feel about that?
I feel like I don't know a lot. Like most of what I know was informed by Zombie, by what is it, the Cranberries or whatever? What is that group? It's the group that sings Zombie. It's about it's
Cranberries.
about
Yeah.
that.
The
Oh, the
Cranberries.
song "Zombie,
Yeah.
Zombie."
Like, so
Zombie.
anything that I learned was like in reference to researching what that song was about, and that's about as deep as it goes. So yeah, I think this movie will probably reveal more to me whenever like I said, if I look it up and then rewatch.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not an expert on that period of recent history, but I'm familiar with like um, the IRA and uh, like that general, like the fact that Ireland was fighting for its independence, and the fact that the IRA was known as a terrorist organization in the UK. But anyway, so like I'm familiar with some facts, but I don't think. I mean, maybe this movie like once. So I when they brought it up in the movie, I didn't think twice about it. I just basically it was incidental to me. I was like, oh yeah, they're just setting this movie during that time period. I don't care why. Like I didn't I didn't really didn't contemplate it. But then of course once I spoke with Matt about it afterwards, and he revealed sort of the at this retrospectively obvious connection between and the the this war which pit countrymen versus countrymen, right? Like at the very least, like it pit Irish people with other Irish people who didn't want to be independent, and with also British people who didn't want Ireland to be independent. Um, in effect, brother versus brother, and the two main characters, Colm and what's his face, Colin Farrell. They they're not brothers, but they're best friends, and it's the same kind of, it's thematically connected. So and also sort of the idea of kind of a, anyway, not to say that war was a pointless war. But this just the sort of questions that are begged when you do have, because there are also stories, like there are legitimate accounts of brothers who, like families who had brothers on different sides of the war and stuff. So and that's not the only conflict that had this. But anyway, so it's a very, profound question of, what could have gone so wrong that pit two best friends or two brothers against each other, right? So, but yeah, in terms of actually like educating people on the war itself, I'm not sure that this movie does a lot in that regard. I think the movie just kind of uses that backdrop as a way to comment on sort of the humanity of the situation, and that the and yeah, just that idea of having a war torn family, uh, or whatever. In this case, a torn friendship, where the reasons aren't necessarily clear for the people involved to all parties, right? Where at least one person, Column, he in his mind things are pretty clear. Things make like he's pretty certain of that's what he wants, but when he talks to
Auric?
Parik, when he talks to Parik, it to me he gives some reasons that are sensical, but he doesn't, but they're not comprehensive. And then when he speaks to Siobhan, he like that those exchanges, there's there's room for doubt, and not we don't necessarily see doubt on Column's side for the most part. Like we see in like Column does have different scenes where he says, I think I like him again, or where at the end, right, where the ending of the film, where he almost seems like he's being more amicable or with Parik than he need to be, right? Like he didn't need to talk about. I don't know if he makes a comment on the fighting still going on, but he makes some kind of comment, right? And then he thanks him for the dog and all this kind of stuff. Like there are things that he does, or when he helps Parik up on after Parik gets knocked out by the cop, and he helps him back up on his cart. And there are all these instances where Column does do things that certainly aren't necessary for him to do, and you can interpret those as him going against what he initially set out. Like if his goal is to have Parik not like to have him leave him alone completely, then you would think every time he goes up to him and talks to him for any unnecessary reason, that goes against that goal. So anyway, yeah, I don't remember how
Irish Civil
I was
War.
gonna, Irish Civil War. Yeah, I think it's just a backdrop to sort of tell the story of these and to explore this broader theme of yeah, like of human relationships and brotherly relationships and family relationships, and these sort of circumstances where they are severed in ways that are traumatic and very difficult to understand fully. Because I think it's like even if we take Column at his word, that doesn't make it's like I think most people watching this movie, when we see these two men best friends, and we see that one of them says, I just don't like you no more, and I just want to be left alone. Yesterday you were my best friend, today I don't like you anymore. I think most people, that won't sit right with most people, even though we have it's a two consent system and one man no longer consents to the relationship. I think most people intuitively are not. It's not as simple as like, oh, okay, you don't want to be friends anymore. No means no. Time to go. I think it's a
Do we
complicated
feel like
situation.
Column wanted the outcome that he got? Not the house and the dead animal and all that, like not that necessarily. But do we think like the fingers and the conflict and making Parig have to do for himself or have to wise up? Like, do we think that was his intent the whole time? Like that he was either gaslighting or pushing buttons to get it to just get there?
I feel like Colm just like I think he says very clearly what he wants. He doesn't want to be friends, and he doesn't like him, and he wants to be left alone. And I feel the absurdity of how sudden that comes is kind of what makes Parik want to fight against it. But I think the difference is that he doesn't like him, but he doesn't hate him, which is why I feel he does still do those basic acts of humanity that Alex was talking about, like giving him a ride halfway home after he gets beaten up, or
Yeah.
like having a little bit of sympathy when the donkey dies, because yeah, I think that's the difference. He doesn't hate him, he just doesn't like him. But I feel that by the end of the film, Pádraic like hates Colm for everything
Yeah.
that he's been put through.
I I think like it's so much deeper than just Colm not wanting to be friends with Pádraic on the surface level, because if you don't like somebody, you just ignore them and you don't give them a ride home after that incident. You don't help them, you don't continue engaging with them. I really think it was I kind of can see, almost not fully knowing the whole Irish Civil War in its entirety, but from what I'm familiar with, it seems like Colm is one of the parties in that historical event, and they're trying to get their objective, but they end up biting themselves in the ass almost. And for this character, Colm, it's like I have to like bring it back to like his depression, like his existential dread. Like he is so obsessed with like leaving a mark on this world, and like feeling like he's wasting time, and like not, and like he's just so restless that he hasn't done anything with his life, that it's not fully about the friendship, but it's his internal world not making sense anymore, and he's taking it out on the people around him. So much so like he's becoming like friends with the cops and like spending a lot more time in his music and his isolated world. But I don't think it was the outcome he ever wanted, like losing all of his fingers like that. Like you can even see like when he's playing without the first finger he chops off.
Mhm.
Oh my god, he's doing it well, like he's still playing very well, but there is like that brilliant actor, you can see on his face like the kind of the struggle, and he's like processing, oh god, like I have to go through with this.
Well, and is there something to be said for the irony that like he was having this dread and he was having this like I don't know, this feeling of maybe I don't want to be in this world. This world has more for me or whatever. Like maybe he felt like he wanted to die. But then in the end he ends up making Pádraic feel like he wants to die. And now Colm is like feeling okay again. He feels like he's done his justice. He let his house burn down. But like he gets to walk away with his dog. And I feel like he keeps talking about, oh, we're even now. And like he's the one that wants to get back into it. And Pádraic's not going for it because he now feels the way that Colm did before. Like he doesn't want to, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, like hearing all this, it's making me think in some ways of M. Night Shyamalan's The Village, which, spoiler alert, if anyone hasn't seen it or wants to see it, I'm going to spoil it. But the whole idea of them being in an isolated community that they created to try to get away from violence, but then violence found them anyway, just because that's human nature. It almost seems like they're on this island that's separate from this massive Civil War event. And even though they have no connection to what's happening there, just human nature and relationships being what they are, you get something that's kind of reflective of, well, I'm saying this again with no historical context, so I can be totally off. But the impression I get is that it's meant to show that even outside of a political context or a social context where you're right in the midst of the heat of whatever's happening for the war, it can still happen here because people are people, relationships are relationships. They get strained and then there's fallout.
Yeah, conflict always happens. And so once one person is like settled and feels good, the other person is like, actually, no, like what you just put me through ruined me and I'm not okay now. So yeah, like we're all human. Conflict is inevitable.
Yeah, and it's so tragic because everybody loses everybody by the end of it. Like once Jenny the donkey is dead, innocence is gone.
Well,
Justice
and I
for
felt like
Jenny.
they showed us almost an immediate disconnect, like how it was affecting Porig because the letter he writes to,
Right.
um,
Siobhan.
God,
Siobhan.
Siobhan, the letter that he writes to her, he omits the things that are troubling him the most, arguably, right? And he tells her that Jenny's alive and all of that. So, like, you see an immediate disconnect with the relationship that he does still have.
Which is so sad because when she was there,
Mhm.
she knew everything and she was defending him and
Yeah,
like,
exactly. She was
Yeah.
part of all of that. There'd be no way she didn't know.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
A tragedy. So why do we think Colm decided to cut off his fingers?
Oh,
What like what do we think was going on in that brain of his? I looked up Martin McDonough's reasoning, so because I was curious.
So you know the right answer.
I know the right.
what is?
Well,
I
actually,
want to know the reasoning.
Well,
well, actually, no. He didn't give a right answer. He gave his inspiration for it. But no, like I'll give the right answer at the end. I know the impression I got the first time I was watching it was, and I've since changed my mind, but my first impression was that almost felt like it was a test in some ways or a challenge for Park to see if he actually valued him as a friend, to say, like, do you actually care enough about me as a friend to leave me alone when I'm asking you to? Because I'm telling you, I'm going to cut off my fingers, which are the vital tools for the thing that I'm telling you I love. So if you care about me, you'll leave me alone so I can keep doing what I'm doing. And then when Siobhan says something like, you won't be able to play your music anymore, he says something, which I didn't memorize, like, yes, that's the point. And it almost felt like a weird wayward test in my brain.
Yeah.
The first
That was
time.
why, that was what hinted to me that he was angling for this the whole time. That's what made
Mhm.
me feel that way.
Yeah.
But I do think that, I mean, aside from it being very Saw-esque, I'm like, I do think it was a trial of Porig, but maybe it was also a trial for himself because, like, I was a little shocked that a man of this age that drinks, which is a blood thinner, would not bleed out when he did this. Too
True.
many of them at one time. So that was really weird. So maybe he just wanted to see, like, if I live through this, then life's worth living. I don't know. That's kind of how I felt about it.
I feel the same way as you, Matt, your initial thought of it. But then it just like it made this is kind of why I was so intrigued the entire time was because everybody cares in their own different ways. Like everyone has their own love languages.
Mhm.
So like even though what Colum wanted to receive was to be like left alone, like Podrick was like, "No, tell me what's wrong. Let me fix it."
Mhm.
And it was like seeing how far that miscommunication, that like not being aligned in that kind of understanding of each other was so intriguing because I was like, "Oh my god, is he actually going to cut off all of his fingers? Is that the extent?" But I now talking about it more, there's also a part of me that's like, if he did have suicidal ideations, maybe this was like a chance to see and test, like, can I endure the pain? Can I, will I die if I do this? And if this is my want, will I be successful? And I can blame it on someone else and it's not my fault.
Well, and I think we also keep seeing, like, if he is in fact that desperate and that depressed, he cuts all his fingers off and he doesn't die. He's in a burning house and has the option to stay there and doesn't stay there. So it's unless but I don't think he does. Parg doesn't run back in and get him. They don't show us that, and he has already left. So yeah, like, he says these are things that he wants, but it's really not, right? Like, we keep finding out he says it's what he wants, and then he keeps going back. So
Yeah, I mean, the movie does so, in reference to like the earlier points you brought up, Jeanette, about um uh well, I forget. There were two. I forget the first one, but the second one was this idea of like both of them were concerning why Column is like what's his purpose? Why is he cutting off his fingers and why is he acting this way? Does he really does he want to? Oh yeah, the first one was does he want to like teach Parik like a lesson and get him to
Yeah.
stand up for himself or but anyway, so on both of like on that, the movie comments directly on that because of course they have like there's the whole exchange with Parik and Dominic where Dominic says that right. Dominic says like maybe he's just trying to get you to stand up for yourself or whatever, and that gives Parik's like oh that kind of makes sense. And then I think after that Parik gets drunk and confronts him in the bar and has that interaction, and then we hear Colum admit that that's the most he's liked him. But then after that, yeah, after that exchange, in the morning, Parik visits Colum again, and that's when Colum kind of has the freak out or whatever, like, why can't you just leave me alone? And I think that's what prompts Colum to cut off his first finger. And then the second conversation that happens in the movie that addresses sort of the point that you made about if he's like depressed and testing things or whatever, exploring sort of the despair aspect of it, is his conversation with Siobhan. I think it's the last conversation he has with Siobhan, where he says she says like she questions him on him cutting off all of the fingers or something. It might be when he cut them all off, or it might be just after he cuts the first one off. But
No, I think it's after he cuts off the first one.
Okay. Yeah, and then he says, sometimes I do worry that I'm just entertaining myself, something to that effect. He says, sometimes I worry that I'm just, doing this whatever to entertain myself. And he says something like, don't you worry about that too, Siobhan? And then Siobhan says no. And then Calm's like, yeah, you do.
Yeah.
So I think in that, and my sort of, off the cuff reading of that was it was a commentary on how they were both more whatever cerebral people on a relatively simple island, and that the dullness of the island would make life so boring for them that they need to come up with creative ways, even if that includes potentially cutting off appendages to keep stimulated. But yeah, I think all of that is to say that I totally am on board the like things are not simple train. And I think Lisa, you kind of highlighted that point of like it's not as simple as Column just not liking Parik anymore. Yeah, I think, and again, I think that's right, and I think that's the intuition that most of us have is you don't just randomly one day change your mind. It's totally believable for Column to have the revelation or understanding that he says he has, right? It's totally believable for him to be like, yeah, I just kind of took stock and I'm thinking that this relationship is no longer like in my serving me, based on my goals. But like the context really matters here too. Like when you've lived your whole life on this tiny island, or I don't know if it's a tiny island, but on this tiny community, and like there are rules and mores and traditions, and like those are strong things, and we see them in the movie. We see the way people behave with each other and all kinds of stuff, right? And we see the shock. Like it's not like nobody is easily accepting Column's change of heart at first. They're coming up with explanations. You must be Rowan, you must be having a fight, you must be this or that. Siobhan, the arguably the smartest person on that island, her first, every time she confronts Column, but the first time is in particular, she says it straight up, or I think I don't know if she has the comment like, "What is he, 12 or something?" earlier, but somebody has that comment. But she straight up in front of his face is like, "What are you doing? Like, a man doesn't just stop being best friends with somebody else. Like a person doesn't even have to be a man. A person doesn't stop being best friends with another person. Over nothing or overnight or whatever, right? Like it just doesn't happen. It makes no sense. And again, yeah, I think we have both like from those reactions and from Column. Yeah, we have so much from Column that isn't consistent. Like, and there's room for interpretation still. Like, just because Column, like, you know, for example, when he helps up Parik after he gets punched by the cop, that doesn't necessarily, like, that could be something that you could make an argument that, well, you know, again, they're a small community, like maybe that's just that preservation, you know, paternal instinct, whatever, like communal instinct kicking in of like, you know, he's still a human being, he's going to help his fellow man. His fellow man could be, you know, his enemy or whatever, but he's still going to help him in certain situations. And I think, like, to an extent, Column is that kind of a person. I think that he doesn't have to like you to help you out or to call out injustice when he sees it. But yeah, on the other hand, there's also that point of like, if Column's objective primarily is to be left alone by this guy, then
he's doing a really bad job.
Yeah. Parik's not going to die if you just let him walk it off and get on his cart and handle himself. He's not going to.
I think it's another example of he doesn't. It's not what he says he wants is not what he really wants, and it's to spite himself.
Yeah,
it's going to in the end be in spite of himself.
Yeah, and I think he doesn't know. I think it's not. I don't think he's sure of what he wants. I think, and that's very human. That's very universal. Nobody's
he wants to
sure.
create music.
Yes, and maybe
he's a composer of great songs.
Yes,
he's a whale.
Not the whale, though.
Man. Not the
whale. Not the whale. No. So Martin McDonough said, hold on, I had it on my phone.
All right.
Okay. He said, ahem. I thought it would be interesting that an artist would threaten the thing that allows him to make art. Does that make him an artist? Then...
I didn't even answer that question, by the way.
No, you didn't, but you said a lot of things. So, but you still can if you want.
No. That's basically what I would have said anyway.
Oh, what? What
Martin
McDonough
that
said?
Makes him able to do the art. Of course.
Yes, obviously. He was saying that artists fear the loss of the thing that allows us to express ourselves. So I think my rationale was that Column had made a commitment to risk everything in order to facilitate this space that he felt he needed to create properly.
Is that why he's still humming at the end of the movie? Is that the point of that? That he
like
can't
when he's like shooting his thing, or when he's moving his
at the very end, he's like
on the beach.
Like when they're on...
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, that's a very interesting thing, and I think like for centuries, artists have been like grappling with that by like either restricting themselves to create their art or like to provide luxuries for themselves to create art. I think that's an interesting take. Yeah. But I feel like it's very surface level.
Yeah.
I think it's more complex there.
Well, I think it's also interesting that he chooses to cut off all 4 fingers right after he's finished his composition. It's almost like I've did the one thing that I had to do, and maybe conscious or not, it almost has the mentality of maybe I can't get better than this. Maybe the work won't continue to grow. So if I put this limitation on myself, then I'll never know. And I could just pride myself on having made this one thing at the very least.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it is interesting because that's something else that I didn't like. It wasn't obvious to me that he was done composing music.
Oh no, I just meant he was done that one song.
No, I know,
Yeah.
but I mean on the subject of, you know, now that he has all his fingers, like, or on the one hand, he's no longer has fingers, and, you know, why is he humming at the end and all this kind of stuff? Like, to me, I didn't like. So it was obvious that once he was missing all his fingers on his right hand or whatever, that he wasn't going to be able to play his instrument. But he was. My assumption was that when he was, you know, conducting in the bar without, you know, with the one hand, was that he was like still. I don't know if that like necessarily if that was the same, like if he was conducting Banshees of Inisherin, or if it was something else. But anyway, long story short, my point is that like I didn't necessarily feel like Colin was done with music. Like I felt like he's done obviously playing because obvious, but he can still, you know, you can write with your bad hand and you can You know, if you live for another 40 years, maybe you can get those some software maybe that you know, not transposes, dictates or whatever music. Um, but yeah, so it's like that. But it's interesting, right? Because I don't think it's as simple as either like option. I don't think it's as simple as his fingers are gone. He's like, you know, done with music in some significant way, but I also don't think it's as simple as like, oh no, he can still like compose and formulate. So I think it's both from a like physical sense, like, you know, being a composer while simultaneously being an instrumentalist. I think that's a significant pairing, and when you lose one, that's a significant loss and affects the other. And then the other side of it is, I think, his psychological journey, right? Like, he was in a certain mental place when he made the decision to, you know, disown his best friend, and had this sort of seeming mission statement of, I'm going to write the first part today, second part tomorrow, third part whatever. I'll have made a new piece, and I'm just going to make music for the rest of my life. And I think as his conversations with the priest show, and as his behavior, his actions show, his mental state was fluctuating. And maybe by the end of the movie, he's no longer in that same headspace. And maybe by the end of the movie, he's no longer dead set on that mission. Maybe there is a part of him that's like, you know,
because they're
hey,
both changed by the end of the movie, right? Like,
yeah,
they're both
yeah,
pretty much flip-flopped how they were at the beginning of the movie. Well, not entirely, but like Colum definitely wants to talk to him again. You know, he's acting like it's gonna be fine, and now Power's like, no.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I think,
Yeah.
a little bit of role reversal.
yeah.
But
I'm-
yeah, I mean, like his life as an artist, his life as a playing musician, not a
Yeah.
teacher, not a composer, not a conductor, is done.
Yeah.
He can't play anymore.
Yeah.
So there is that symbolic element of the end, the death of that. Yeah.
Yeah, and also it's like it's the 1920s, and he used rusty shears to cut his fingers off.
Yeah,
Like,
I just that
he's
whole
probably
part,
gonna die
yeah, the what do you call it? Suspension of disbelief was very hard for me at the moment of any of this, especially when he cut 4 of them off at one time. I was like, you would be dead. I thought that was the scene we were gonna get, is him bleeding out and Parg finding him and like saving him or something, or him dying. Like,
Or like just passing out of the like sheer pain. Like that is painful.
Yeah, like so again, and this is kind of some, like, you know, it may help if me that I saw, like, that I was very familiar with In Bruges prior to coming to this movie, but like In Bruges as well suspends disbelief with the survivability of certain physical trauma. So that, to me, that's like, I had no problem with it, but it's also because I interpret it as like it's just a, like, it's a plot point. It's
just a story device.
Yeah, exactly. It's a symbol. He's giving up his fingers. You know.
And if we feed into that too much, the movie becomes about something else. And I think if you pay too much attention to it, like the gore aspect of it in the movie does become something else. So
100%.
Oh yeah,
handling
I couldn't watch.
was a feat.
My eyes were closed for at least 5 minutes.
Be thankful they didn't show you him actively cutting them off.
I'm very thankful they didn't show me him actually cutting them off. Yeah, even though the stump was almost as bad. So there, it is. There it is. Yeah, what do we feel? I almost said calm when I meant to say calm. No, but I meant to say Colin, by which I meant to say Patrick. The Irish names are so difficult to pronounce. I apologize to the Irish folks who are watching. What do we feel he meant at the end when he said, "I think that's a good thing," about how you can't come back from some things, and I think that's a good thing.
Well, it wasn't necessarily. I think it was specifically holding on to things, not coming back.
I thought it was coming back. Let's find the quote.
We can look up the exact quote, because my recollection was something he's talking about, how like things that people don't let go of, or people hold on to, like can't help but hold on to.
It's the whole thing. I always come back to the metaphor of, you know how you like crumple up a piece of paper and then you like try to unfold it, but you will always forever have the creases. Like, no matter, like, this life is going to change us every day. We're gonna be imprinted on or like have a different, like we're just always ever evolving. And so the fact that Podrick is saying that to Colm, to me, I'm interpreting it as, yeah, it's good. Like I've changed. Like nothing's gonna be the same anymore. And
Yeah.
I don't know if he's fully blaming Colm, but yeah, he's just recognizing that it's changed and they can never go back to the way that they
Well,
were.
I also think this had to do with him going, or maybe you just were never a nice person, or however that gets phrased.
Yeah.
But that's, I think, I don't know how many people here have gone through having a long-term friend tell them, I should just very bold-facedly, I don't want to be your friend anymore. But I've gone through it. And you go like, well, your first thing is how Podrick reacted. Like, well, no, you'll feel differently in a few days and everything will be fine. And then after that, you're like, so like, did you ever like me? Is like you're just so confused. And so I thought that was really interesting that they even referenced that. But I think that comes back to that statement at the end is like, no, we can't come back from any of this, even though you might be nice again now and you might think we're even, but I'm left questioning. I don't trust. I don't, you never answered my question as to why you did this in the first place, stuff like that. Like he never gets that answer. He gets a billion other answers, but he doesn't get why did you do this in the first place?
And neither do we.
No. Why did you stop liking him? Because he's
the exact
dull.
quote
and that's
is
supposed to be the point.
Some things there's no moving on from, and I think that's a good thing.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think definitely in line, like with what you guys were saying, how the simple version of that is he's just justifying his own metamorphosis, his own change. He's being like, this is who I am now, and I think that's good. Like I'm like it's self-justifying, right? He's saying, like I'm on this war path or on this vengeance path, and we're not even until basically one of us is dead, and I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, well, he says they're taking it to their grave, so I don't even know if he's so much in an active battle anymore. What I took away at the very end was that he was just like, we can't go back to how we were before, regardless of what happens, whether we don't talk to each other anymore, we fight or we don't fight. Like, it can't be what it was before.
Yeah, like I agree with you. Like I don't think necessarily I don't think so. I agree in the sense that I don't see like the ending of the film. I don't see Parik as necessarily filled with rage or vengeance anymore. I think the way I interpreted from the moment Jenny kind of dies to the end of the film, my personal interpretation of Parik's journey is that he's initially devastated by Jenny's death, but I don't even think personally, I didn't even interpret his decision to retaliate as him blaming Colm specifically for Jenny's death. I think Jenny's death was the straw that broke his back. I think it sort of ignited the building up of confusion and pain ever since Colm disowned him as a friend.
He literally is being punished for being himself, right? Like at the core of all this, he stopped being his friend for all the things that we know because he's dull.
Yeah.
And so I think when Colm realizes he can hurt himself all he wants, they're both being kind of selfish, but really Colm's being the most self, even though he's doing something and he should have the right to say how he feels and all that. But I think that when he realizes he can hurt himself all day and use that as a statement, but then the thing you were really trying to get across is done by accident by you, and you really hurt somebody. You didn't just hurt yourself.
Yeah.
And even though he didn't mean to, I think that was like, obviously it's the wising up moment for him. Like we do see that to a degree. But yeah, I think that moment when not just when Jenny dies, but looking back, that's something that they might be saying with all of this is like, you can be spiteful and hurt yourself and use that to get a message across. But in the end, when you end up hurting somebody, that's going to communicate a message that you have no control over.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. And I think like Patrick is completely changed by the end. At the beginning, we see him as like this beautiful angel baby of a joyful guy, even though everyone thinks he's dull and dim-witted. Like, he is such a jovial spirit.
Yeah.
And by the end, even though, yes, like he saves the dog, he doesn't like kill it like Colum did the donkey. He doesn't start self-mutilating himself. Like,
Yeah.
he is just a completely different guy at the end, where he's like, he's become literally dull. Like, his spirit has dulled. And
I feel like his village gets to him.
yeah,
You know,
he's changed. And it's sad to see that. Like, I was rooting for Podrick the entire time.
I'm still Team Podrick.
Yeah.
Even though he burnt down the house, he cared enough to look after the dog.
yeah, I'm sorry.
like-
that was
yeah.
perfectly fine.
Yeah.
And even though he didn't go in and save Colum, like to bring him out, he did go back to check if he was in there.
No, and he gave him warning. He said he was going to
Yeah.
do it. He gave Colum every opportunity. Like,
Well, and he specifically said, I'm not going to check if you're in there. And he did.
he was putting the civil into civil war.
Very well.
Yes, he did. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. He performed war in a non-criminal way.
Exactly. Well, arson.
Well, I
Yeah,
mean,
but
I'm
as-
talking about like war crimes. Like, you know,
Oh,
when you
yeah.
like just drop
Human.
bombs without warning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, he dropped the bomb, but he warned him.
Yeah, no, and I feel like that's just total
Yeah.
opposite to what Colum was doing, because I think Colum was just acting so rashly that, like we said, he didn't take into consideration that innocent donkeys could be hurt by his actions. He was just so self-absorbed in his whole thing of, I told you not to talk to me or else you get fingered. Here, take all the fingers. And then,
Yeah.
this poor donkey.
Yeah, but at the same time, like not to go full on like 180, but like Colum, that there was an escalation, right? Like Colum, in Colum's mind at least,
Mhm.
there were many steps before that point where, you know, his first step was like, I just don't like you no more. And, you know, there was a conversation the next day where he admitted that he was a bit too harsh the other day.
Oh no, there was for sure a progression of events. I feel that the chaos was the act of him actually throwing the fingers. He could have put them in a box and left them on the doorstep, but it was that extra bit of aggression of him just being alone and feeling the need to fling the fingers for Porrick to find that.
Yeah, but I feel like that's more incidental. Like, I think it's the sort of, again, the symbolism of it is more like important, where it's, I think, in line with what you were saying, Jeanette, of like, this is an example of consequences, like, certain types of consequences that can stem from certain types of actions that aren't, you know, considered in, you know, an appropriate way or whatever. So I think I think it's, you know, it's kind of a convenience for the plot, right? Like the fact that he chucked his fingers and that Jenny ate them. Like, he could have easily, he said it, he in fact, the way he said it was, I'm going to give you a finger. Like, initially he said I was going to give you a finger
every time.
Yeah.
And he didn't give them anything.
That
He
was
just
one of the
chucked the
things
finger
that
at the
made me
door.
think he wanted to do it, because when when Colum comes in the house and they talk, he keeps engaging him. So like he keeps talking to him, and then the next day is when he cuts off because they went back and forth 4 times.
Yeah.
That's what I took away from it, was that that was
interesting,
because the last thing he tells him is, I told that guy I better go stop him, and like he realizes.
Yeah,
like,
well, he also, when he talks to Siobhan, he does tell Siobhan that I'm just going to cut them all off if he bothers me again.
Yeah.
Like, he does say that too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, well, what do you mean by he wanted to do it though? Like,
I feel like this was his end goal the whole time. He's like, I'm going to do this poetic. Yeah, I'm going to do this poetic thing. Like Matt said, like, I'm going to compose this piece of music. I'm going to teach my friend a lesson that he needs to learn. And I'm going to do it all in this artistic, poetic way.
With no fingers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
okay.
I'm
The only
gonna do
Like-
it, and it's gonna be, he's martyring him. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I've met artistic-minded people and artists who would do that.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
at least you could be smart enough to be a painter who just cuts their ear off. You don't need to hear anything to paint.
Still not a
you
good
know?
idea.
No.
but-
Not condoning it.
Take his eye or his fingers. He's not an idiot.
But even that, like, Van Gogh was doing that because he was hearing voices. Like, he was very disturbed.
Yeah, but
during
he, coincidentally, he could still paint with no ear.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just
I would
saying,
say
Although,
because, like,
didn't he
suspicious.
die after doing that? He died after.
Oh, it's an
I
infection.
don't know if
or
it was
something.
right after, but it might have been even just infection disease related. Because again, he just
which would have been
can't
pretty
go-
quick.
can't go lopping off appendages.
Should
and
have come
body
to this
parts.
guy. He obviously has the
Yeah,
shears
he
that
does.
leave no infection whatsoever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think because the movie, like,
Mhm.
both, so Parek's, like, he has the joke of, like, I've got 10 fingers to show that I'm not crazy. Like, how many do you have? He's like,
Yeah.
like, and I think the movie does that, like, a fair amount, both from Parek and from Siobhan and from the way people, like, remark on him cutting off his fingers. Like, I don't think the movie glorifies him cutting off his fingers in any way, and not that it needs to, but, like, personally, yeah, I don't think there's enough in the movie that to lead me to think that Colum specifically wanted to saw him cutting off his fingers as, like, a poetic statement. I'm inclined more towards, like, my interpretation. It was a sign of how serious he was, and not even like how vitally important him being left alone by Parek was, because
Mhm.
even that I didn't get. Like, it wasn't like, this is the one thing I care about. Like, leave me alone, Parek. Music. Like, that's not what I got. So, but yeah, like, I interpret it as just like Parek, leave me alone. And then it was, it must have been the second or third day that Colum told Parek, here's what I'm going to do. And he told him calmly, if you keep bothering me, every time you bother me, I'm going to cut off a finger. And my interpretation of that was just like, I'm fucking serious. Like,
Stop swearing on my show.
There's the bleeper. You
Oh, yeah,
got the
sorry,
bleeper
you're
this
right,
time,
you're right.
right?
Yeah,
You talked
you're right,
last
I
time,
did,
You didn't have
you're
the
right.
bleeper. This time you got
Yeah,
the
sorry,
bleeper.
I have the bleeper. You're right.
So-
So no, then Alex, clarify for me, to what end do you feel he was doing that? If he wanted to
To
specify
the end of achieving his
like,
objective. He
objective
says,
of just being left alone, objective of
yeah, being like achieving, yeah, like the purpose. I mean, and it's in line with what the director said, which is, yeah, like he was saying, like, it's the equivalent. Like, I mean, there's memes about men, like, doing this with their genitals in the same fashion. Like, I'm serious now. Like, if you don't believe
what
me,
memes
What
are you
memes
looking
do
at?
I'll send them to you. I'll send them to you guys after. Don't
You
worry.
need some cat memes, Alex.
I got cat
You
memes.
need
I got cat
Some,
memes.
like, queer memes to, like, not.
Yeah.
What's what?
No,
I've never
I'm
What
saying
cycles
I'm
through
saying in the
your
zeitgeist
algorithm?
of human culture and meme culture and thinking, the idea of self-mutilating in order to prove that you're serious or to make a statement is already in the atmosphere, in the
Okay.
human
Yes.
gestalt.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm
yeah,
saying
yeah.
similarly, like, that's that's how it made sense to me. Like, he was just saying, like, this is what I want, and to prove that I'm serious, and to communicate, not to prove, to communicate to you that how serious this matter is to me, or how serious about this matter I am. This is what I'm going to do. And and then again, Dominic, right immediately after, Dominic has that conversation with Parker where he's like, if I were you, I would just do it. I would just have him cut off one to see if he's really being serious or not.
See,
Yeah.
I feel like Dominic is to blame for this whole movie. Dominic is
the
just
best
pushed-
part of this whole movie.
No,
but-
Dominic is
in the ear.
I do not care for Dominic in this movie.
Oh my god, he's
You're
my
wrong.
favorite.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
Your
the
bread
poor
van scene was the worst
baby.
scene.
What? The bread van scene was the best scene.
No, it was the worst scene. It's
You're
a good
wrong.
scene. It was the worst. It was the
How
weakest.
can you
of the
say?
movie.
How can you say that was the weakest scene? It was
I'm
hilarious.
just saying, based on the way the acting, the filming, the delivery,
the acting was
it
impeccable.
was the weakest.
It was
the weakest part.
hilarious.
It was
It
the
was
weakest part.
great. Oh well, I
Anyway,
mean, like
Dominic's the best.
narratively, maybe it didn't have that much weight on the overall like trajectory.
No,
of the
not
plot.
narratively. Yeah, narratively it was
Yeah.
very little. That's not a slight against it. It doesn't have to have a
Yeah.
huge narrative weight. No, just
Yeah. No, it was directed great. The performances, the comedic timing, the honesty and the truth and all that
No,
crap.
Dominic.
It was good. No, Dominic was
Dominic
bad.
was the most honest,
No, he wasn't.
best
Dominic
comedic
was the most
timing.
innocent.
Yeah.
He was
Dominic
the most
was the most
innocent.
Yeah.
And everything he told Parik to do resulted in things getting worse.
Which is
Park
something
didn't
that
listen
he
to him.
should- Like, yeah, Podrick is his own human. He should have
Yeah.
not listened to Dominic, because even though he's an innocent, beautiful angel baby, he's an idiot. Like, it's evident. But Podrick should have been like, "Thanks, Dominic. I'm not gonna do what you're saying." Peace.
I thought, were we supposed to take away that Dominic's dad killed him?
I thought he died. Like, he killed him.
No, I mean I don't think like definitively no, but I thought
One
I
of the
thought it was
things
he
I
killed
read
himself.
speculated that he killed himself.
Yeah.
But he like Ophelia'd himself because everyone he loved was like betraying him.
And it's
Oh,
like that
okay.
iconic scene where he's drifting in the water. Like,
Yeah, I
really?
thought that his dad had killed him and then dumped his body, and they found the body. That was
interesting.
what but I wasn't sure because like the dad
Yeah.
kind of looked upset, but like,
I wouldn't put it past the dad.
Yeah,
He
well,
also
that was
married-
exactly it. I was
the
like,
dad. There was that whole dialogue between, I think, him and was it Podrick or Colum?
Between Dominic and Podrick?
No, the policeman.
Oh, okay.
Dominic's dad, where he's talking about idiots walking into the water and killing themselves. as
Oh
if,
yeah,
like,
yeah. In the
They're
shop
not
when
having
he's
a good enough life on this island,
Mhm.
and him just being so oblivious of like
oh.
mental health on the
'Cause,
island.
like I thought we were supposed to see that as soon as Podrick was like not around because he was upset and he thought he had lost his relationship with Dominic. I thought as soon as he wasn't around to defend him, the dad had killed him. But I wasn't sure about it because I was like, I don't think that's what they're really.
mean-
I don't think they're trying to shade this at all. They would have
I
just.
think it
told us that
could
that's
go
what happened.
either way. I
Yeah.
feel like there's still validity to that.
Yeah, there's nothing
Yeah.
that's like definitively against that, but I would
Mhm.
say, yeah, like my inclination definitely was to say that he killed himself, and especially
Yeah.
because also the way we find out is by the Banshee woman, the old woman,
Yeah.
stopping the dad and being like,
Yeah,
"Wait, before you go beat up Parik,
Mhm.
come here, let me show you something."
yeah,
And when we see the dad's face, at the very least, it seems surprised.
yeah.
that he's, like,
Okay, that was what threw me off was the face he made, but like the way they presented it, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Mhm.
Mm.
So let's look at the nominations and see if we think any of them are gonna be prosperous. Sure. Let's see if we think they're gonna win any of these awards. Boom. Accolades. 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 Here we go. So this is also nominated for Best Original Score, and again, like Fablemans couldn't tell you what any of the music sounded like.
As opposed to in Bruges. Oh man, that score.
It sounded like, what's that famous guy, John?
Williams?
Oh, John.
Yeah, it sounded like a really nice John Williams kind of score.
Well,
To
that
me.
would be 2 Star Wars
Yeah.
likenesses.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true. That's true. Like it's no All Quiet on the Western Front score, I'll tell you
No.
that.
Oh my god.
I loved that score.
I haven't
great
There
heard
was
score.
just one note. It was like "Wah,
That's not true. It isn't
Joyful.
just that.
wah."
No. But there was
Sometimes there
Inception-y
were
moments. There were
progressions, yeah.
Inception-y moments in the
Yeah,
film.
but that note, that one note
Music.
though, powerful. Powerful. Like I can hum it, so if it's
I thought
nominated for
I-
best score, it gets my vote.
Yeah, I mean, I think this movie has a lot of strengths, and I don't think the score is the strongest of all
Yeah.
of the other strengths, but it was
Yeah.
fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Next is editing. Best film editing.
No,
I'll admit, like the editing didn't stand out to me.
It
but
did. Yeah, I was gonna say it didn't stand out.
I'm
yeah.
sorry. Everything, everywhere, all at once.
Oh
That's
yeah,
that is it.
it's either that or Avatar.
Yeah, like we'll talk about it, but this no,
Yeah,
nothing
I
can
don't,
compete.
it didn't stand out. It was nothing special.
Yeah.
Yeah, like invisible editing is definitely like worthy, I feel, but eh,
I mean,
Who's
it
to
was
say?
to me. It was definitely better than Elvis's editing, but yeah, it was a fine. It was a solid movie. It was a good edited movie.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing any like sloppy edits or cuts or anything like
Yeah,
that.
exactly. No miscontinuities. All good. All good. Original screenplay. I feel like this could take it.
Sure. Yeah, the
could.
dialogue is good. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know, because the reason why
Mhm.
I say I don't know is because the entire time I was thinking, this feels like it could be a really good play, like a really good
Mhm.
theatrical thing, and which doesn't mean that the original, like it winning an original screenplay award,
Would detract from that.
yeah,
Mhm.
but it, I don't know, it doesn't seem like a strong contender to win. I
Like
don't
you
know.
think it seems stronger as a play than as a screenplay? Is that what you're kind of
Yeah,
getting
I
at?
think that's what I'm getting at. Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's up against The
Who's it up-
Fablemans, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Tar, and Triangle of Sadness, which I hated Triangle of Sadness. I watched it last week. It made me angry.
Is it about the Bermuda Triangle?
I wish.
And is
Or
it
maybe
sad?
there's a boat.
No.
It's sad that it's nominated for anything. I'll say that. It
I'm
has such a
excited
good
to watch it.
concept, but the pacing is all off. Like it's a bunch of rich people on a yacht that gets shipwrecked and shipwrecked. and then-
Don't ruin it. Don't ruin
Oh, okay. No, this is just like
So
the
it's
the log
Gilligan's
line.
Island?
Yeah.
It's
it. It's
basically
like Lord of the
Gilligan's Island.
Flies.
That's very. If anyone knows of this play, it's very, in some ways, similar to Admirable Crichton by J.M. Barrie. No, okay.
Admiral or
Deep cut.
admirable?
Deep
Ad-
cut.
Admiral.
Like, is it a
Admirable.
rank? Oh, admirable. Okay.
I think it's admirable, but it might.
Okay.
It's the
Because Crichton
Admirable
sounds-
Admiral.
Yes.
Yeah, the admirable.
Like,
yeah.
yeah,
so-
and I mean the way that the events of the play unfold, it could really be either of those words, but I think it is. He is one to be
Admirable
admired.
Crichton.
I think it is admirable. Yeah, admirable. But yeah, Triangle of Sadness. It's a movie. See it if you must. I haven't seen Tar. I also haven't seen Everywhere, Everything, Everywhere,
Everywhere,
All at
everything,
Once.
all at once.
Yeah, that one.
That's
that
what
one.
it is.
Yeah,
I
that's.
would say, no spoilers, but I would say this could have contention with that because I don't think the screenplay is especially what makes Everything Everywhere All at Once special.
Yeah, I agree
Yeah.
with Jeanette. I
Yeah,
think
so
this
Could be a
is
contender with it. I haven't seen Tar either, though. So
I think this is up against Tar because Tar's screenplay is wild. Like we need to all watch it because it leaves you thinking, and there's just so many layers. Like this one,
nice.
And ogres.
yeah,
Woo.
I love Tar.
I might add it to the list. Actually, I probably will add it to the list. We're running out of time. So many movies still to see. Okay. Best Supporting Actress for Carrie Condon as Siobhan. I thought she was perfectly good.
Yeah.
Like, I think it was a good performance. There's no issues. It's just, I don't know if it's a role that has
Yeah,
as
there's
much
some other
weight,
really
say,
good
as,
people this year.
like Angela Bassett crying about Wakanda.
yeah,
Like, it's
or,
not that.
or freaking
Wait.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Or who's the other one from
The
that
daughter and everything. Michelle.
Yeah.
Michelle. I can't
No,
remember her last
Michelle
name.
Yeoh
Is
is
the lead.
the lead. Her
Oh,
daughter,
Michelle Yeoh is the lead. Sorry, you're right.
her daughter, she's been
Stephanie Shu, I think.
I don't know her name,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But yeah, like I think Carrie's in a difficult category where there's been like strong contenders this season.
Yeah.
So. But she did a great job. I loved her.
Yeah.
She was
Yeah, I loved
yeah, it
her.
was great.
I think she's my favorite. Like of all the movies that I've seen on this list, I think she's definitely my favorite. Like, female character thus far.
Hmm.
So, and character, maybe even my favorite character. Well, that's kind of pushing it. Actually, Dominic is pretty strong, but yeah. So.
Dominic. Well, he's the next one. He's also nominated for Best Supporting Actor.
Isn't Colum what's the actor's name?
Brendan Gleeson.
Brendan Gleeson. Well, both of them.
Yeah,
Both of them are nominated for Best Supporting.
Yeah, I gotta say, I think the kid who played Dominic Barry,
Yeah.
he strong contender. I'm pretty sure it'll
Yeah,
end
I
up
think
being
I'm
the
over
guy from
Siobhan.
Everything Everywhere All at
Oh,
Once.
it's definitely him.
I wouldn't be upset if it was Barry because I really think this performance was pretty standout.
Yeah,
It's
I
so
agree.
interesting. Between the both of them, even though I love Dominic so much, I feel like Colum's
Oh,
Yeah.
Colin would get my vote if I was
Yeah,
on
Colin
the
would get
Academy.
my vote. I love Dominic, but I don't know. That whole scene where he's playing the violin without that one finger. I was like, you are an actor, sir.
Yeah,
And
that's
I
the
mean,
thing, though.
I feel like
Yeah.
he had the most difficult role potentially in the
Yeah.
entire thing. Like we've spent pretty well the duration of this live stream debating on where his character was coming from. And even though I couldn't tell you, and I don't think any of us have a definitive idea of what was going on in his head, I have no doubt that Brendan Gleeson did. And to me, that's the type of performance I find extremely engaging and award worthy. But I still have to see Everything Everywhere All at Once because I'm sure he's amazing too.
Yeah, no, he's amazing. And he's also been doing well.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
I feel like he's the front runner. I think it's him, Angela Bassett, Michelle Yeoh, and Austin. Not to get ahead of myself for predictions week, but there it is.
it might change. It might change.
It's true. It's true. It's true. It's true. Yeah. Oh wait. Yeah. Alex, what do you have to say about the best supporting actor race?
Oh no, I was just gonna say that like Brendan Gleeson, like I love Brendan Gleeson, and he's been in so much stuff, and I've seen him in a fair amount of movies, and he's kind of like Ewan McGregor in that regard. Like he's always great in everything that I've seen him in, and I would say it like I personally feel like I've seen him do like his performance has stood out to me more in other films. So by virtue of that, I would be hesitant to award him for his work in this film over other films. Not that that's the way this works, but still. And then in the context of just this movie for me personally, like Dominic is probably the standout of both the character that just gripped me the most, and it was Dominic was kind of had that effect of the Jesus lady from Eldermans, whatever, Fablemans.
Oh, okay.
In the sense of only not 1-to-1, but just in that phenomenon of like he's a sort of not like in a sense he's a sort of ridiculous over the top character, not really, but he's a character like he's an atypical character for sure. He's not normal, and I think there's an extra challenge to playing that convincingly.
Yeah.
And I think there's a very fine line between convincing and like just exaggerated and just, not to make a crude reference, but Simple Jack from Tropic Thunder. Like there's there's a fine line there, I think, to an extent. And I think that, I think he just just wrote it so well and just was fully believable the whole time. There was never a moment of like, oh, he's having too much fun, or oh, that's not. No, I just I believed him fully, and I think that he gets my vote for that.
Okay.
But
well said. When I watch it a third time, which I'm sure I will at some point, maybe I'll appreciate him more. We'll see. Best actor, Colin Farrell. I would be so happy if he won, even though I don't think he will. But
I wouldn't give him that personally.
No.
Yeah, I mean, I love Colin Farrell. I love what he did in this movie.
See, he was starting at a negative point for me. I did not enjoy. This was probably the first Colin Farrell performance I've genuinely enjoyed.
Really?
Yeah,
No,
I don't know.
He's
very he does that Nicolas Cage thing for me, where he just is himself in movies. Like, hi, I'm Colin Farrell, and now I'm in this role, and now I'm Colin Farrell, and I'm in this role, and like it's just Colin Farrell all the time. I felt like in this one he had much more like love and warmth, and like he actually affected a character.
What about Daredevil?
Oh, you watched Daredevil?
Is he in that?
Oh yeah, that's a classic.
No, I didn't.
Isn't that Ben Affleck, or is he in it too?
Yeah, Ben Affleck, and he's in it. He's Bullseye or whatever. He's the.
Oh my!
He's the villain.
I don't think that would help at all. Just saying. I want to believe, and I'll keep believing until I go to see the movie, and then I'll make a very much more educated decision. I'd love to believe that Brendan Fraser is going to win this.
Me too.
While I think Austin Butler did a great job, I don't entirely get all of the hype compared to a lot of the other actors in their category.
It's the voice.
So I'm like, So I don't know. I'm gonna just say Brendan Fraser until I see the movie, and then I hope I still say Brendan Fraser in this category.
Yeah, same with Jeanette. Although I love Colin's work.
I will
I
say
feel
that's my note, is that it's my first role that I've enjoyed him in. So that says something.
See,
Yeah.
I'm kind of the same. I assume I don't like him, but every time I see him in a movie, I think that was so much better than I gave him credit for.
Yes.
So he always surprises me, I find.
Did
Yeah,
you
'Cause I
watch
just-
his season of True Detective though?
No.
It was really bad.
Oh, really?
Vince Vaughn really muddied the waters before, for him, but then he didn't do much to help. So
I
Oh.
believe it. But yeah, I feel like Colin in this movie, I just think he's kind of similar to what I was saying about Carrie as Siobhan, where the role is what it is, and he just does it so well.
Yeah.
I feel. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
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 Like, again, it's no Brendan Fraser crying in The Whale or Austin Butler literally being Elvis, but for what it is, he does it so well. So there it is.
Yeah.
Best director for Martin. What do we feel? Like,
Who
I
else is in the
wouldn't be
category?
upset. Who else is in the category? I think this year.
here we go.
is-
It's Everything Everywhere at All at Once. So the Daniels.
I want them to win.
Fablemans is Spielberg.
Yeah.
Tar and Triangle of Sadness again.
Triangle of Sadness better not fucking win.
Even though I
Anything.
love Tar, I do not want Todd to win. No. I don't know. I
Yeah.
think it's a contender.
I think it's between Banshees and Everything Everywhere, honestly. I haven't seen Tar, and I don't think Fablemans deserves a Spielberg win.
Like, I don't
think
think
if
it deserves
Spielberg
it,
wins,
but I think
It better be better than Jurassic Park at this point. Like,
no,
You
but still, it's like
make
Meryl
something
winning
like-
for Iron Lady. Like, you just have
Yeah.
that moment of really this one, but
Yeah.
yeah. And I
See-
think it's almost like an equivalent to giving him a lifetime achievement award at this
Yeah.
point.
so I think, yeah, exactly. And he's going to get those anyway. So,
That's true.
like, just let that happen. I think it really, I think Banshee stands a chance in this category.
Yeah, personally, I actually think that I kind of am struggling between Fablemans and Banshees because they're the only two ones that I've seen, I think, thus far
Well-
out of the lineup that we've discussed. Maybe
No, you
aside
saw
from
Avatar. Oh, you mean for best
Yeah,
director?
Seen
Sorry.
Everything
Yeah.
Everywhere All at Once. So,
Yeah. Watch
Back to
Tar.
Oh
Okay.
yeah,
Oh,
I will. It's on the list.
yeah.
But
gonna
yeah,
be-
I'm.
That
But
blows
yeah,
everything
thus
Scott
far, yeah. Thus far, like personally, I thought the direction in Fablemans was actually very good, and I like.
Well, yeah, I
competitive
mean,
to-
almost by law, if Spielberg directs it, it's going to be
Yeah.
well directed.
yeah.
I just think it should
Yeah.
stand out amongst Spielberg films
Right.
if he's going to win at this point.
Yeah, and I get that. And that's the thing. I don't have the same I probably have seen most of Spielberg's work, but I don't have the same like perspective in my head. But yeah, the for me, it's just in the sense of like looking at the films. Like once I've seen them all, right now, like maybe Fablemans is going to be the best one of them all. And if so, for direction, and if so, then I'll give it to them. But yeah,
Come back for the prediction show, Alex. Yes.
am I not signed up for that?
No, you didn't sign up for it.
Oh, okay.
I know.
Wait,
Why?
the prediction show. What is that? Is that just a show where we discuss our predictions?
That's a
or-
show where we go through literally every category and you make your pick, then I tally it, and then we see who won.
But wait a
like
minute, do we do
Oscar.
that? Like, can
No, we do it like on the Thursday or the Wednesday or whenever I've scheduled it.
Before
And
Oscar.
then I just like via social media on Oscar night say,
Yeah, no, I don't want
Alex
to do
won.
that. I
Won.
want to do it live. I want to win live or lose live. We should just do it on the Oscar night,
We'll
yeah.
talk after. Okay.
We'll have to collaborate on our.
Yeah,
I don't care to predict and not find out immediately. Like that's no fun at all.
I feel like you're just looking for instant success. Which
Yeah.
Yes,
Not-
that's instant gratification. That's what I'm here
That's how it
for.
goes.
That's it.
These weekly discussions, there's no payoff at like later on. There's no long-term payoff. I'm just in it for in the moment
Yes,
live
friends.
entertainment.
gratification.
Enjoy.
And yeah, I want to vent whatever craps on my mind. I want to entertain some external ideas, see if they're interesting and stimulating, and that's it.
All part of Alex's simulation.
Yeah,
Whales.
We're
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
part of Alex's
you're-
simulation.
We're all in the Matrix.
Yeah, you're all bots, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we're AIs.
AI for my entertainment. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Best picture.
No.
It's not
Ah.
winning best picture. Although I could see it winning Best Picture.
Well,
I
don't know
feel
why.
like
I
if it
feel
was
like
like
it
a
could.
really crap year where all the other movies were
Yeah.
bad, this one would be like the
So
best.
far, this is my best picture between.
Like,
well, look.
in my
it's
heart,
at
this
least,
might be my Best Picture too.
I mean, All's
It's
Quiet
at
on the
least
Western
ahead
Front.
of Top Gun, right?
Yeah,
So we
it's
can
at least
Top
ahead
Gun
of
Maverick.
Top Gun.
just say
For Best
Oh my
Picture,
gosh.
yes.
Triangle of Sadness is up for that too. What is this thing? I don't
There's-
know.
Is All
like,
Quiet
It's a
up
waste
for
of
Best
everyone's
Picture?
time. That's what it
All
is.
Quiet's up. Yes, it's
Okay.
All Quiet. It is Avatar, Banshees, Elvis, Everywhere, Everything, Fablemans, Tar, Top Gun, Triangle of Sadness, and Women Talking.
Okay.
So
Talking.
All's
I-
Quiet should just
yeah,
win for that
Everything,
tank that
everywhere.
crushed that man.
I do think
That's not
Banshees
even-
and Everything could be tied on this one too.
Wow. I don't know.
I mean,
think
I
everything-
obviously I'd love if it was Avatar, but it's not going to be Avatar, and
No,
it
it's not gonna
probably
be
doesn't
Avatar.
deserve to be Avatar.
Sorry.
Bridge movies don't get Best Picture.
No. So
no, you're right.
Yeah,
No, wait, Godfather 2. Didn't that get Best Picture?
I don't know,
I don't
I think it
so.
did.
I think so. Yeah, I
Let's
think
see.
you're right.
but Avatar 2
Arguably
is
one
not
of the best
Godfather
bridge
2.
movies.
Yeah, Avatar and Top Gun are not The Godfather.
Yeah, Godfather 2. Godfather 2 is the only I'm assuming bridge movie means in the middle, literally
Yes.
a bridge. Because Lord of the Rings Return of the King is technically a sequel that won, but it was like the end. So
That's the third one.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not a bridge movie. Yeah.
yeah, it's not a bridge movie. So yeah, Godfather 2 is the only bridge movie that's
Yes.
won. So.
Okay. Yeah. No, this one shouldn't either. But yeah, I think Banshee stands a chance looking at this lineup. Now, I have no intention of ever watching All's Quiet on the Western Front or Triangle of Sadness. Probably not Women Talking either, but we'll see. about that
Oh,
one.
support Sarah Pauly. We love her.
Canadian
Well, yeah,
talent.
and
Yeah.
Frances McDormand. Like, I mean,
Yeah, Canadian
I like
female
her
director.
regardless. Yeah.
Lots of Canadian actors in there.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
I haven't
maybe
I
that
haven't
one.
seen it. So.
Oh, and I'll never watch Top Gun ever. So
Why won't you watch Top Gun?
Highway to
it
Did you
doesn't
not like the
strike
first
me.
one?
Oh no, I definitely did not like the first.
Why
one.
didn't you like the first one?
The first
It's got
one's
everything-
terrible. The
So
first one's a
terribly
terrible
boring.
movie.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it
It's
is.
so boring.
Oh my gosh!
It's
got great
awful.
music. It's got romance.
It
It's
has
got
two
action. It's
songs
got
that they
everything.
keep playing in
Let me ask
rotation.
you, Alex, did you like The Notebook?
I think I couldn't. I don't remember the Notebook.
I'm just gonna say that it's probably a very gender-oriented thing.
I'm sure I could enjoy the Notebook. It's that's what I'm saying. There's romance in Top Gun. There's Notebook in Top Gun.
I don't like romance.
There's
It
no
had
book
couple
in
fast
it.
Wait a
planes
minute.
and
Do you like the
romance.
Notebook?
I mean, at the time I did. I'm just saying
Well,
it's
there
a
you
girly
go.
movie, and that's a very
Oh yeah, well that's
Throwy
what, like
movie.
Top Gun. If I watch Top Gun now without ever having watched it, then I probably wouldn't care for it either. But I grew
Yeah,
up
no.
with it, and so I love it. And Maverick.
So it's a nostalgic thing for you.
Sure.
Oh yeah, but it's also
Okay.
objectively the best. No. All
No.
right.
My
It's not even the best Tom Cruise movie, and that's
Yeah.
not
No,
saying
no,
a
no.
lot. I mean, it is.
It's
He's a
it's just
well-known
fun
actor,
movie.
but still.
That's yeah. Anyway. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Needless
yeah.
to say, Banshees is better than Top Gun. So yeah.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah, and yeah, I would vote for Banshees over All's Quiet on the Western Front, which is my pick to win for best score because of that one note and best visual effects. Again, see, everyone's already humming it.
Seen it. I
Yeah.
haven't seen
I'll
it.
have to watch a clip of it. Oh my gosh.
Watch the clip where the tank crushes the guy.
Oh my god.
It was really unsettling.
That's
I
just for
feel-
you, Matt, because you don't watch tanks crushing people regularly.
No, I don't.
Are we reviewing All's Quiet?
Alex and I have discussed just doing one. You're welcome to join if you watch it.
I'll join, but I feel like it's like a necessary viewing to watch the original All's Quiet. It's like back in the 40s, I think. Like, so we're like
Yeah.
all aware of the origin
Oh, that's
of
so
There's an
how-
original
There's
Yeah,
the
there's one
only
from,
way
like,
to make a war
1938.
movie more boring, put it
Yeah.
in black and white.
that this
Original.
movie.
By that, I feel like
Terrible
if I'm going down that road, Lisa, I need to read the book.
no.
Yes.
Just find a time machine and go back to World War II
Oh
or
my
World
God,
War
be
One,
in the
whatever World
trenches.
War
No,
is
you know what?
happening
If
during-
we want a
Yeah.
time machine to go back to World War One, all we need to do is watch All Quiet on the Western Front.
And there we go. Full
There we
circle.
It's that
Full
good.
circle.
Yes.
Yeah. I'll
So, yeah.
join. I'll join for that.
Woo! Have to find a
Maybe
date
I'll
for
get
that one
Vince
too.
to come on board too.
Yeah, it's a movie that I don't even know if I could talk about it. I just liked that tank scene. Well, I didn't like it. It affected me in ways that I'm still shaking off because it was so unsettling. It crushed the guy.
I feel like you feel the way you
Austin
feel about
Powers.
this.
You've seen that before. It's okay.
Yeah, like I feel
No,
like we've
like-
all seen this kind of thing. I've seen it in Midsummer, you know, when they like
Oh
cliff.
no,
the
no,
absolute dread
not
I got
Midsummer.
from that.
Not Midsummer. No,
Oh
I read the
Midsummer.
Wikipedia plot
Midsummer.
description, and that was enough.
my god, I can't. No, but I feel like the way you feel about that is how I felt in Midsummer.
I believe it. I believe it. So yeah. Although the more I reflect on All's Quiet, the more I think I liked it. But who knows? Okay. Let's do the game.
Game time.
Woo! All right. So you do need a writing utensil for this one. Okay.
Oh, I forgot something that I just want to share about the movie that I
Yeah.
do think this is my queer agenda that I think Colum and Patrick had a gay experience and Colum is feeling a ways about it. That is my queer
Ooh.
alternative agenda.
I totally see validity to that reading.
Yes.
100%.
Watching the movie again with that as
With
that
that
as
in
like a
mind.
lens
Keep
would
that
be
in
an
mind.
interesting experience.
I actually, on that note, I thought Dominic had a crush on Patrick.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
Dominic gave off like really like
He just loved
obsessive
everybody a lot,
high
I guess.
vibes.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
I feel like he
But
was in love with that whole
liked
family.
Siobhan. Yeah,
That
That
exactly.
whole family.
So,
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
Anyway,
There we
that
go.
was
Queer
my
thoughts.
one thing. Yes.
All right. So for this game, I don't have a fun, cute name for it. I should have come up with one. It's called like I just don't like you no more. That's what we're calling this game.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah, I
Okay.
just don't like you no more. So I am going to show you an Irish word. It's either Irish slang or from the actual Irish dialect. You have to tell me what it means.
Okay.
So you have to define the Irish word and use it in a sentence.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
ready.
So just write down your definition, and then when you give us your definition, then you can just speak it being used in a sentence. All right.
Let's do
Here
it.
we go. Here we go. The first one, and I might not pronounce. I'm not going to pronounce any of these properly.
Well, that's no good.
Benjaxed. Benjaxed.
Okay.
Okay. Jeanette, please give us your definition and use it in a sentence.
All of our stuff's gone. We've been banjaxed.
Oh, I need it in the accent.
Oh God. It's Jamaican. I'm like Paul Rudd. I can't do it. It comes out Jamaican. Yeah.
Just channel the Lucky Charms dude.
It's very Paul Rudd.
Wayne's World. I'm the leprechaun.
Wait, can Alex do
Alex, do it.
Don't steal me pot of gold.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's good enough. Lisa, what's your definition?
Hijack.
Okay.
So
In a
like,
sentence, please.
this guy banjaxed the conversation.
All right. Alex? Stuck. Okay.
I'm banjaxed between me donkey and me sheep.
Well, you're all wrong, but that was entertaining. It's broken. We were looking for broken.
Okay.
Broken.
Oh,
It's banjaxed. It's been broken. Like my heart after watching this movie. Next, I'm not even going to try this word.
Shit.
Chowtog?
Sure.
Codog.
Chiotog. Chowtog. Katog. Chiotog.
Chiotog.
Chia pet.
Oh Lord. No, there's no way.
I don't know.
We'll start with Alex this time. Drugs. Sentence, please.
Let's go hang by the donkeys and the sheep and smoke some siotag.
Okay.
It's just
Is it always going to be donkeys and sheep? Okay.
Maybe.
it's the theme.
Lisa.
Grow or growth.
Okay.
So the plant has good geotog on it.
Okay. Jeanette.
I said it's a pig.
Aw. Okay.
The chow tug is eating the slop. The chow tug. See, look, I can't. I try. Irish
That
in
was.
me.
I enjoyed that. That was great. All of you are wrong again. It means a left-handed person.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is it a slur or the actual name?
No,
for a left-handed
this
person?
is a word that is not slang, but is actually the word from the dialect.
Okay.
Yeah. Next, Jackeen. A Jackeen.
Jackeen. Or
Oh.
just Jackeen.
Jackeen.
But you said a Jackeen.
I
Like
did.
a Jackeen.
I did say that.
Okay.
I did see that.
Martha, did you know that was the word for left-hander? Did you know that? Did you know that? All right, Jackeen. We'll start with Jeanette.
It's a jacket.
A jacket, okay?
I put my jackeen on to go outside. I see, like, what
That's
is
pretty
this
good.
accent?
That was
I
pretty.
Good.
you know,
That was
There's
pretty
some. There's
good.
some.
Yeah,
Yeah. Some potential there.
yeah, oh, yeah.
Lisa.
Thief.
Okay.
That Jackeen.
Maybe think of
Van
Joaquin
Jackson
Phoenix.
stuff.
That Joaquin Phoenix stole my role again.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay. Alex. What's it say?
Eager person.
Eager person
An eager
slash
person?
boy.
Okay.
Oh, that Jackeen's been looking at me donkey and sheep awful keen like. Oh,
I mean, you're all wrong, but it kind of works. It means someone from Dublin. It's a Dubliner.
Oh.
Yeah.
What?
I don't
That's
know
weird.
why, but it is. There you go.
Huh.
Yes. Next. Menke.
Okay.
Menke. Also, try to commit some of these words to memory for the bonus round.
too late.
All right, Alex, you go first. Menke. Wonky. Okay. How would we use that in a sentence?
After I shaved me donkey and me sheep, they looked a little manky.
Okay. Lisa.
Cuddles.
Oh, that's nice.
Let's do some manky in the back seat.
I'm not far off from Lisa. I said it was fooling around. I think it's because it sounds like hanky panky.
Exactly.
Hanky,
Right?
hanky,
Yeah.
panky, manky.
Yeah.
It actually means dirty, filthy, or disgusting.
Hey, that fits Lisa in
Right.
it. Well, mine more than Lisa.
I know more Jeanette. Mine was
We're not here. We're not here to shame. No, I hear that word, and I feel like I could say, like, the floor of my van is manke.
Yeah.
Scottish.
Okay,
it's
yeah,
Scottish.
yeah.
Good word. It sounds
Yeah.
easy to use. Much easier than chotug or whatever.
Okay. Next, Jax.
Isn't that just a game? It's a game.
Oh, apparently Martha knows all these words from her Irish cat lady friends. So
Irish
sweet.
cat lady friends sound delightful.
I know. Oh, they are. I've seen pictures of the cats. They're
Irish
adorable.
breakfast tea and cats.
Actually, I
That
think
sounds lovely.
Martha is was Freddie the cat from Ireland? I think he was. There was a Freddie.
Oh.
Yeah. He was named after Freddie Mercury, but he was my cat Eliza's like internet boyfriend cat. And it was just perfect because she's named after Eliza from My Fair Lady, who has a courtship with Freddie in the musical. So Eliza and Freddie was meant to be.
So cute.
Yeah. So anyway, Jax. Jeanette, you'll go first.
Cereal.
Cereal. Okay, let's
I got
hear
a
it.
bowl full of Jacks.
Okay, a bowl full of Jacks. Nice. Lisa?
Drinks. Let's
Okay.
go get some Jacks.
Okay. Alex? Matches.
Or crackers.
Okay.
How do matches and crackers have anything to do with each other?
They don't, but I'm hedging my bets.
So please
I'm gonna
use it in
feed
a sentence.
donkey and sheep some Jacks.
Okay. It actually means the toilet. So all of your sentences still work. But
Let's go get some toilets.
Let's go
A
get
bowl
some-
full of
Feed my
toilets?
donkey
A
and
boy
sheep
full of
some
toilets.
toilet?
yeah, you're gonna. Well, actually, none of them really worked, but it was still funny hearing it, knowing that it meant toilet. Next, ossified.
That's just a word.
What's it mean?
Okay.
Mm.
Okay, we're gonna start with Alex this time.
Well, I'm still writing.
Okay, well, when you're done writing, we'll start with you. Go. What's that? Fossilize.
Turn to bone.
Let's
Oh, okay. Okay. In a sentence, please.
After I fed me donkey and sheep Jacks, they ossified.
Lisa.
Kind of similar, like concrete or solidify.
Okay.
You your idea ossified in my mind.
Okay. Jeanette.
scared.
Scared. Okay.
You gave me a fright and I'm ossified.
We were actually looking for drunk.
I almost said that,
You
and I
gave
thought
me-
that was what you call it. There's
You
like
gave me a
5
fright,
words
and now
for
I'm
it.
drunk.
Oh man.
Dang
After
it!
I
I
fed
could
my
have actually gotten
donkeys.
one right.
The monkey. Then they got drunk. Yeah.
Oh.
Dang
Oh.
it! That's not fair. They got like 5 words for that.
Yeah, I know. Next, old fella.
Oh, I know this.
The confidence.
Trick question.
You might get the first point, Lisa.
This feels like a trick question.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just an easy one. Who knows?
Yeah, I know.
Jeanette,
An old man.
old man. Okay, in a sentence, please.
And screw that old fella.
Okay. Lisa will go last because I think she knows it. Alex,
I actually don't know now.
an old man. In a sentence, please.
I saw that old fella near me donkey and me sheep.
Okay.
Screwing.
Lisa,
Husband.
in a sentence, please.
Look at me, old fella, at the altar. There.
Lisa, you were the closest. It means your dad or your father.
Oh man.
Yes.
Which would be an old man.
An old
I
man.
don't know if husband is closer than an old man
Well,
to your dad.
I don't know.
But
Well,
hey,
well, because Lisa picked a specific relation as opposed to generic.
I
old
understand.
man.
I'm just
Yeah, yeah.
saying.
I hope that your dad and your father are not. I mean, your dad and your husband are not closer to the same thing.
Yeah.
I really hope.
Old fella. All right. Next. Crack? Carrick.
Craig.
Oh my god, where's Vince? His mom's maiden name is Craig.
Now you're going to find out what it means.
It's making me think of crikey.
Crikey, look at the size of that dingo. All right. Alex, you go first. Greek river. Or a
Creek
creek?
or river.
Creek
Oh, okay. Well,
or river.
okay. Sentence.
Me donkey and me sheep like the creek.
Okay. Lisa.
River. River.
River. Okay.
River. Yes.
Sentence, please.
Look at that old creek down the valley.
Okay. Jeanette.
A crack, like a crack in something, not
Okay.
like crack is whack. There's a crake in me mug.
We were looking for gossip.
Damn.
It's like if you were to say, what's the tea? What's the crack?
What's the tea?
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Two more. We're still tied. 0.
At
Okay.
nothing.
Okay. Deadly. I found this one particularly interesting because like the one time I went out to Newfoundland, this was part of their vernacular. Like specifically the younger folk. They just said this all the time. So it's still seemingly a thing.
And did it mean the same thing?
Yeah, it meant the same thing. That it means now that we're looking for it. Okay. Jeanette.
Serious.
Okay. Sentence, please.
Being deadly with you.
Not 1,000. That's like you were an actual Irish person. That was so good. Lisa.
Good or awesome?
Okay.
This party is deadly.
Okay. Alex. Addicting. Okay.
Shaving me donkey and me sheep is deadly fun.
One of you got it.
Jeanette.
It's Lisa.
Really?
Yes, it means like brilliant, good, fantastic, awesome, great. Just
I
like,
almost went
that's
there.
deadly.
I almost went with cool.
It's deadly.
Cool.
Yeah,
That's
so Lisa,
deadly.
Got it.
that is deadly. Good job, Lisa. 1 point. Okay, our final from the round, the regular round. Puss.
Oh. Keep it PG, everybody.
Keep it PG.
Me donkey and me sheep.
Don't go there. Imagine if it just meant cat.
That would be pretty great.
I know. All right. We'll start with Lisa.
Wimp.
Wimp. Okay, in a sentence, please.
Yeah, that cat is such a puss.
Okay. Jeanette.
Mouth or lips?
Okay.
Dude, gotta pucker up your puss.
Okay. Yeah, okay. All right.
Oh my
Alex. Friend or
Friend
close
or-
family. Okay.
Me donkey and me sheep are me only puss now. Ever since me ma and pa and me all fella passed.
What happens when you're wedged between your donkey and your sheep?
It actually means a sour or sulky face or expression.
Oh,
Yes.
that's a good one. You puss.
But that's
Yeah,
what
yeah.
happens when you pucker up your puss.
That's what
Sour
happens. Okay, now for the bonus round, I would like you to form a complete sentence using as many of the words you just learned as possible.
I don't know,
Good
Matt.
luck.
Oh,
I have to
And-
type this one. I can't write this.
Yeah, whoever's I
Are you
find
supposed
the
to
more
write it or
most
just say it?
entertaining. Wait. Say it, I guess. Yeah, say it.
I need to write it.
Well, you can write it for your own purposes. Yes, Martha. You did win, Martha. Yay!
She get the most right.
She got pretty much all of them right because of the Irish cat ladies. Love the Irish cat ladies.
Ugh. I can't remember any of them. I can only remember what we all said they meant.
I
Not
know.
what they really meant. Oh my gosh.
Let me know when you're ready.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Yeah, I'm blanking too on some of them. Like,
No.
Right.
what does it mean again?
I like I can remember all the words. Too.
Donkeys and sheep. That's all. That's all you need.
It all means donkeys and sheep.
Now that my mom and dad are gone, my donkey and sheep are my only puss.
Okay. That's all.
Okay, I think this is as
Okay.
good as it's
Okay. Jeanette, you go first.
Okay. I said, take that manky puss off your face. And take that manky puss off your face, you chowtog, and come to this deadly party.
Okay. Nice. Lisa?
Okay. You're a puss because your old fella told you about your ma being a chotog. But you don't have to go to the Jacks with your Jackeen about it. It's pretty deadly, if you ask me. I don't know. I've used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah. Good job. Alex?
Me old fella got manky, so I made a puss and went to the creek. The end.
That's not the proper use of Craig.
Great.
All right, I
doesn't
forgot
mean-
what creek means.
Lisa won, everybody. Woo!
Lisa!
You're the most
Thank you.
Irish.
Thank you very much. I'm Portuguese, but cheers to
I-
that. I'll have
I'm probably the most Irish here, and it did horribly.
Brilliant. All right, friends. Well, any closing statements on Banshees of Inisherin?
I think it stands a pretty good chance in most of the categories that it's nominated in.
Lisa?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I look forward to watching it again. My only thing is I still think that I wish there was a different ending, but maybe that's because I'm an optimist, and it left a realistic, cynical taste in my mouth.
Justice for Jenny.
Justice
Alex?
for Jenny.
I mean, I think that there's the possibility of interpreting the ending in a more optimistic way. Like, I think we have Column's mood seems to potentially have been improved by the end. And, Pádraig isn't necessarily, like, even though he says what he says, I think even him, like, even his sort of at the very end when Column says, hey, by the way, thank you for taking care of my dog. And Pádraig's like, anytime. I think there's like you could argue that there's a glimmer of hope in,
Well,
in the
I
eye.
feel like there's no hope for their relationship, but I think they're both at peace or moving towards being at personal peace at the end.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to have a discussion about the ending, we can do that right here, right now. Let's get into it, deep dive and jingle or whatever. But But yeah, I just think that there's
Keep that
at
in
least
jingle.
a superficial argument to be made that there's options. I don't think it's definitive one way or the other. I think you can definitely interpret it in multiple ways, and I think one of those ways is in a more optimistic. I mean, even them reconciling in some way in the future because the history.
No, they can't reconcile though, and that's a good thing.
The movie is done. It's done. It ended that way.
Yeah,
That's how I interpreted it.
There's no
Yeah.
Banshees of Inisherin lost in New York. There's no.
I know. Banshees of Inisherin in part 3. It's
Too
done.
fast, too
in
Banshees.
the Temple of Doom. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not coming.
No,
Yeah.
but yeah. I guess my first interpretation of the ending was meh. I wish it was a happier ending and like a fairy tale ending where he grows back his fingers, they're friends again.
And he goes on a world tour with his music.
Yeah, Siobhan is like running her own library off of the island. Like everything's cheap.
Jenny was just sleeping.
Jenny was just sleeping. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
Right. Brilliant.
No, it's a good movie, and lots of layers, and like you, Lisa, and I'm sure Jeanette as well, and probably you as well, Matt. We all look forward to rewatching it.
Well said. All right. Well, thank you, folks. Looking forward to next week. Next week, I said this last week, but I was wrong. Next week is Pinocchio, which I'm so excited for.
Me too.
Woo. But until then, sign off. Tell all the nice people who you are, what you want them to know about you, where they can find you, and all those fun things. Boom.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me back, Matt. I'm Lisa Alves. You can follow me at Lisa_A_Alves on Instagram. I post a lot of things about my hamsters, and you can follow me there.
Woo. Thank you, Lisa.
Hi. So you can find me, Tinker J, Jeanette, on We Like Theme Parks. Tomorrow we will have a new episode on Thursday, and you can hear Matt on that episode. We're doing all of our Valentine's Day fun. And also keeping in the Villains League theme. So stay tuned for Villains League, and you can find me here on Teacup for One.
Hooray. Thank you, Jeanette.
Bye.
Hello, I'm Alex T-Tie, and you can find me here, Teacup for One, and Medonki and Mishi.
And if you're watching the channel, my name is Matt and I have 2 Degrees. Thank you for joining us once again for the Oscar Movie Marathon. Join us next week where we will be discussing Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. So excited. Make sure you watch it before you cancel your Netflix account because #cancel Netflix. It's a good way to go. But until then, friends, my name is Matt and I have 2 Degrees, and this has been the Teacup for One. How do I end this?